Good morning and welcome to the March 2021 Bluffton Area Chamber of Commerce meeting. I'm Paula Scott, your host, and we have great attendance this morning for our program on the State Route 103 and Jefferson Street corridor improvements. Jesse Blackburn from the village of Bluffton and Joe Demaree from AEP are here to tell us about that. We're also going to do our chamber news and our member announcements. So thank you to all our live guests and welcome to everyone who's watching us later on YouTube. All right, so first of all, let me let somebody in here. I am the Wizard of Oz. I'm the person behind the curtain, pressing the buttons, letting in our guests, and I'll attempt to give you my update at the same time. All righty. So first off the bat, I am excited to announce that it's coming to be farmers market season beginning May 1st. And we are working hard to get things rolling there. Yesterday and today, manager Greg Probst has been at an online meeting with the Farmers Market of Ohio organization. I think I'm butchering their name. Let me just mute you guys here real quick. And so starting on like Monday or Tuesday, we should have our vendor agreement document updated and should be signing up people for full year spots. If you take a full year spot, you're guaranteed the same spot for the whole season. So we are inviting farmers market vendors, new and returning, to join us on March 23rd at 7 p.m. by Zoom. And we'll talk about the guidelines and all the registration requirements. So, please let me know or let Greg know if you have any questions about that. I would say the one really different thing from last year is that as of the end of July, outdoors, masks are not required. If you stay 6 feet apart, if you do your social distancing, masks are not required. We had a lot of conversation about that. And so I'm pleased that we have a new policy from the state that sort of irons out those wrinkles. We will also be having our merchants meeting, and that's another Zoom meeting, this time on March 18th by Zoom. We're going to be planning for our discovery days. We're going to be talking about market research. At our last meeting, we talked about how can we promote Bluffton. And so I've been doing research following that, have come up with a lot of interesting information on business hours, started thinking about how that might affect the people who can visit Bluffton. Almost all of our shops are not open on Sundays. Shops have different hours on Saturdays, different hours on weekdays. And I think it's a good time to start talking about that. I did a quick Facebook survey on whether people are interested in running their errands after work or on the weekend. And I would say it was awfully close to a 50-50 split. So I think I'd like to expand that and do a survey that reaches more people and see what kind of numbers we get from that. And we'll also be doing a follow-up on our chocolate walk, which was delayed by the enormous snowstorm that we had. We had to make some COVID adaptations to that, but I think it worked out very well. And 1 week later, we had much nicer weather, and fortunately that's continuing. I don't know if you know that I believe on Monday, the 8th, was International Women's Day. And there had been a conversation started about women businesses, women-led businesses in Bluffton. So I started counting up actually how many women-led businesses we have. And it gets complicated because we have women-led government entities like the library. We have larger organizations, but the local hospital, for example, is led by a woman. So really, I sent this as the Bluffton Center for Entrepreneurs. I started talking about shops, but I came up with a huge list, geographically, starting from Christie's Music Studio, coming on down Main Street, 25, 30 women-led businesses. If you go on Facebook, you'll see it. Fred Steiner also has a list on the Bluffton icon. Fred and Chrissy at the Etc. shop were extremely helpful in adding names to the list, getting the ball rolling. I was really kind of astounded by the fact that we have a lot of what I call mom shops rather than mom and pop shops. We have so many women-led businesses, and I think this is a great opportunity to thank them and recognize them. I don't know how many people remember, but this organization started as the Bluffton Businessmen's Association in, I believe, 1948. I have a list, or 1946. And it wasn't until 1983 that we became the Bluffton Area Chamber of Commerce. So congratulations, ladies, women, and thank you for everything you do for our community. All right, so I just have a couple more items. I want to talk to you a little bit about 2021 event planning. We have not scheduled an Arts and Crafts Festival because planning for that would have started in December. And I don't think we knew where we would be in May at that point. I just got my first vaccine yesterday. Yes, my arm is sore, but I'm looking forward to that protection. But we are going to try to create some opportunities that are smaller scale and where we can keep our eyes on things, because it's not, I mean, if you try to keep your eyes on 80 vendors, I can tell you it's impossible. So I think we'll see if our discovery days can provide opportunities for arts and crafts and other vendors on Saturdays throughout the spring, summer, and early fall. So that means you can stay tuned for sponsorship information, fireworks, blaze, etc. I'll be in touch about what we'll be doing for those things. Junior Wyrock called me this week to ask about the Blaze of Lights Parade. And I really hope that we can benefit from the Memorial Day parades, the 4th of July parades that are being planned, and that they can help us lay the groundwork for, do we have to make a longer parade route and have fewer walkers? What exactly will a 2021 parade be like? And then, I have one thing I wanted to put on here that is not on my list. I am happy to send out Explore Bluffton guides, actually deliver Explore Bluffton guides to anyone who either hasn't gotten it yet or who needs more. I have cartons of 175. So if you would like to distribute them to your employees, to your visitors, I'm happy to bring those by. If you need smaller quantities, I've been putting 20 in a Ziploc bag. If you want a smaller quantity, I'm going to ask you to come to Town Hall. I can leave some either in the vestibule on the 2nd floor or the 3rd floor, and you can come and pick those up here at Town Hall. Occasionally, I will go downtown and I have a little granny cart and I will drop them off to the businesses downtown, but I'm not able to do that for everyone. And then finally, somehow it is March and it is still membership renewal season. With me working remotely and our bookkeeper working remotely, dues payment has definitely been lagging. Dues reminders have been lagging. And so please check first your email. I like to start with email and then follow up with something in the mail if I don't hear back from you. And so if you have not yet paid your dues, please, take a look for that. And then I will be sending out everyone's decals by mail. All right. So, see if I know what I'm doing here. How do I unmute all? Well, okay, I think you can unmute yourselves. Does anybody have any questions about those chamber news items? All righty. Well, then I am going to go ahead and introduce our program. We're going to talk about what's coming for the State Route 103 corridor for the Jefferson Street area. We have great improvements in store for us. And so Jesse Blackburn from the Village and Joe Demaree from AEP are here to talk to us about that. All right, so Jesse, I am going to turn things over to you.
Great. Well, thanks, Paula. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why my camera just decided to stop working today. I've never been the secret guest in the meeting, so my apologies. I'll keep trying to get it working. But I've presented or prepared kind of a PowerPoint slideshow to take us through kind of some visioning that Bluffton has that directly relates to kind of the commercial ventures of Bluffton and the Chamber of Commerce. It's been a great presentation to kind of put together. I've had bits and pieces as we've started this visioning process as a community back in 2006 with a visioning report in 2009, which kind of prompted in 2009 for a bike and pedestrian pathway master plan. And that's kind of what's being shown currently, that this, in my time as administrator, this document has been one of the strongest driving forces for our community, not just with pedestrian infrastructure, but also infrastructure that is associated with that, with it be streets, storm, best management practices, ADA compliance. So a lot of other village infrastructure gets linked in to this pedestrian piece, which has just been, frankly, quite awesome to work with. So I'll do my best to kind of show where we've come from the past couple of years, where we're headed, how we've used partnerships, collaboration to kind of share this vision with other utility companies, AEP being one of them, who you'll see today has worked with us in several different projects in the past. But again, and before I get started, a special thanks to all of the past administration, council, Bluffton employees, Chamber of Commerce, Bluffton residents, to kind of get where we are today as a community. So thank you so much. But like I said, this document has kind of been a driving force behind Bluffton. And right now what we're going to focus on is this. It's not as clean as I'd like. The PDF documents don't come over pristine. So we're right here, State Route 103. We're going to be talking about a project that was completed a couple years ago. Our yellow project is starting end of this month. Some detour signage just went out. Very exciting. Pink is a brand new project, which is going to tie into State Route 103 in 2022. Our red project is a future plan. Like I said, this visioning all started formally back in 2006, which led to the first big place was, wow, okay, let's get an official engineering safety study. How are we going to get funding? How are we going to best identify and prioritize what this main corridor to our town needs? So there's a $65,000 study. Whew, costly. Well, good for us, a partnership with Allen County Regional Planning. They paid for $50,000 of the study. The Village of Bluffton donated $15,000, and at the end of this study, I guess got ahead of myself just a little bit. A 250-page document was produced at the end of the study in December of 2016, identifying over $10 million of roadway improvements. All the different things they looked at. I guess the corridor study started at the railroad tracks and went all the way through the I-75 interchange on 103. So to get through that spot with what the village had intended, just a mere $10 million. So onward for finding fundable and feasible projects started in 2017. Our first attempt was a safety application through ODOT and District 1. So we picked our, I guess, more central located. We worked from inside out. We started a project at the railroad tracks and went all the way out to Citizens Parkway. One of the first problems that was identified was the County Line Road intersection. And to make Bluffton a safer and more, I guess, economically attractive business community, that intersection was identified to be a hindrance. So that project was identified here. It's in pictorial view. There's State Route 103, the railroad tracks. It's an old picture. If you guys remember Midbus along State Route 103, that's what's being shown here. It's now Diamond Manufacturing. So this was our project. All these improvements, which would include curbs, gutters, drive entrances, water, sewer. If you look at this intersection down in the lower left corner that I'm circling, you can see there's a couple of complete property takes. We're going over a couple of homes. Oh, this project is quite large. This is an ideal. This is a vision. What did this look like on paper? Back one up here. Well, this looks like over $6 million worth of improvements. Oh, so we went down to the safety study, had, I believe, over $4 million of hopeful funding to come our way. And at the end of the day, the final safety project application results we got, decision, not approved. Project is too high compared to the number and severity of crashes in the corridor. Shucks. So if we didn't give up, we're in 2017, we're fresh. We got this safety study done. We've spent a good portion of money to study our corridor and make it work better for Bluffton. So we kind of have let's chop this up into pieces. All right, so let's start to work with what we have. The right-of-way portion of that State Route 103 County Line Road intersection was over $1 million. So let's try to come up with a complete streets design using the existing road right-of-way. And then on Jefferson Street in an older part of town, that road right-of-way is not very wide. So what we decided to do was just break this up into phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and try to make those fundable, feasible projects. On the way, we're going to work with District 1 ODOT, the Norfolk Southern Railroad Company, and get some great projects done. So, kind of the goal, serve all pedestrians, any motorist, pedestrian who wanted to use this roadway or right-of-way with a safe option. Other goals would have been a connection to existing and future pathways as part of our 2023 plan. The vision, I guess, that was shared from the community members is kind of roll out that front porch neighborhood feel of Bluffton, where once you cross the railroad tracks, there was a distinct difference in the feel of Bluffton as it was presented to our residents, visitors, and council kind of agreed to make an investment in the community to provide this climate and structure for connection. So we're in the right direction. This is kind of where a summary of where we're at currently. I'm still going to go back just a little bit. We still have to cover phase 1, but through all of this, we've ended up with some great projects completed and some that are still in the planning. So I'll come back to this at a later point. So we don't have any projects funded yet. We've tried to get a $6 million project funded. In the process, we've scaled back and internally started to design some different phases of this project. In the meantime, we're still seeking big, I guess, federal funding sources to say, hey, we identified that intersection at the County Line Road as a problem, not just a problem for pedestrian safety, but also the economic climate. This intersection was rated I guess, a C rating, which is average delays, but it also affected the delivery of goods to some of our industrial clients in town. So we had a meeting with District 1 ODOT, County Engineer's Office, Ohio Means Jobs. Oh goodness, I can't even remember all the groups that we had there. Lima Allen Regional Planning, and to just sit down and say, hey, here, Bluffton has a problem here with this intersection. What about funding a roundabout? So I'll fly through this one pretty quick because this roundabout picture always gets people excited. This was just a concept. As you know, it's not there today. But again, it involved total property takes. Same thing with the traditional intersection in the lower right corner. Now we're taking people's properties to improve this intersection. At the end of this study, people said, oh my goodness, Bluffton, you're talking single digits in most cases of truck traffic per hour. This is not a problem on the statewide scale. There's no funding is going to be available for this. So in the short term, we've improved that intersection by removing some unnecessary poles, removing signage, placing signage in different areas to just improve the sight vision along that corridor. So this was another option we pursued for funding. That one came up blank. However, in 2019, we had pursued some funding to replace a water main on Jefferson Street. So this is past the railroad tracks. There's Diamond Manufacturing again, if you can follow my cursor. So Diamond Manufacturing, new water line. The project description kind of shows here. So we all know this is here. This is something that we have in town. So how do we get there? Just the capital investment in that little piece of State Route 103, over $2 million, just in this little piece and the water main that extended beyond. However, the Ohio Rail Development Commission paid for, it's kind of off the screen, this yellow portion over here. Their piece of this project was over $400,000 to increase the pedestrian facilities along that crossing, new gates, new asphalt walkways to safely cross those tracks. They moved a control box, new pavement. So that's money that Bluffton did not have to spend. ODOT put a brand new bridge in for $800,000. Bluffton spent our fair share, and we also received some funding from the Ohio Public Works Commission. Bluffton rarely gets grants. In this case, we did receive a $100,000 grant to construct this project. So that's here. But again, we've kind of stuck with that complete streets design. We've increased our pedestrian facilities, added new infrastructure. In the middle kind of this project is just a surprise. We had been pursuing other funding sources. Again, this didn't come out as clear as I like. On the left-hand side, so here we are in the middle of that phase 1 improvements project. The bridge is tore up. Our railroad intersection is being reconstructed. State Route 103 is closed down from June through October. We get a letter from ODOT saying, hey, you've received $840,000 in federal funds to build phase 3. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Things are looking good for the projects that we've identified to pursue. The council report, the administration's report, see, this was September of 2019, kind of summarizes phase 1, phase 2, and we're just now starting to meet with property owners to discuss, again, how to get this complete streets design. We don't have room to put a sidewalk separate from the roadway here in phase 2. In order to do that, we met with property owners and worked out an agreement for an easement onto their property for sidewalk use only. So there'll be a 6-foot sidewalk that extends through phase 2. But again, that's still in design phase. We just got funded for a State Route 103 pedestrian path. So our main corridor into town is looking quite good. Sorry, apologies. Then you come back to another piece of infrastructure. You know, all this great pedestrian traffic is being improved. We're providing better infrastructure. This is another option, or this is another reason these projects are done. This was why the water main was replaced on State Route 103. So here we're at Vance and Jefferson Street, right by Tommy's Plaza on the right. And that's what the water used to look like. So this is, again, just the partnerships, the collaboration that over $2 million of investment generated a wonderful new piece of infrastructure for Bluffton, which did not have this quality of water in the lines anymore. So back to this piece. So now we have completed that green line. So now we're on to phase 2, the yellow line. This project is scheduled to begin, as you can just see on the detour signs. This project, the road will be closed again starting end of this month, perhaps the beginning of April. It's still being coordinated between Dominion Gas and the contractor as for final works. Another partner in this project will be AEP, who Joe will be talking shortly. The funding model for this project, we just awarded the contract for over $800,000. We did receive an OPWC 0% interest loan and another Ohio Water Development Authority loan at 1.28%. So yes, as we said, that identified $10 million in projects to get the corridor where we want. We're still chipping away and making these improvements as we go. So the benefits of this phase 2 improvements, and again, I'm going to focus on the pedestrian side. It goes without saying, the water quality, the road infrastructure, the road diet, the sanitary connections, the storm connections. One of the big pieces, if you've ever traveled State Route 103 across from Diamond Manufacturing, standing water that used to occur on that roadway, even in the middle of August when we hadn't had rain in weeks. There are just some drainage issues with this stretch of road. That's a huge piece that will be improved with this project. Again, as if you've driven it recently, yeah, the smooth trips is going to be hard. It's hard to imagine because it's been quite rough for long enough. So then on to the pedestrian piece. There'll be a 6-foot bike-friendly sidewalk on the south side of the road that serves that residential neighborhood. Marked crosswalks with LED beacons by the railroad tracks. Again, just more facilities that will give us what we would like to have, which would be a more residential district as you approach Bluffton. So all of these green arrows point to pieces of infrastructure that will calm the traffic. Curbs on both sides of the street, marked crosswalks, LED beacons, tree lawns, all of those things. In the future, there'll probably be some decorative street lighting. All of those will, again, make motorists feel as if they are in a residential neighborhood as opposed to an industrial district. So very excited to see what this is going to result in. At the end of July is when this project is scheduled to be completed. So back to our master map, we're now through the yellow piece. So the State Route 103 improvements, we are all the way out to the County Line Road. And surprise, the Pathway Board, a strong group in town, a positive influence, has kind of been working on a County Line Road pathway to connect those residential neighborhoods that exist in Swiss Park, Country Estates, back off of College Avenue and Byrne. So to orient yourself, these maps aren't the easiest to follow. Now, State Route 103 is shown in the upper left corner, and the County Line Road, as you travel south towards the Village Park, is on that upper street, and then you would come down to the bottom, and then that is continuing on the County Line Road. You'll cross Cherry Street. So this just shows, again, this is still in the final design and funding phase, but this will be a 8-foot wide asphalt path separated from the roadway. It's going to run from 103 all the way down to Byrne or College Avenue. And again, give those residential districts a safe route to get from point A to B. So again, thumbs up to that. That is another piece of this puzzle in pink that's going to get completed. And now that leads us to the final piece of the puzzle that's coming in 2023. Again, these maps are, we'll start in the upper hand left. Here's County Line Road and State Route 103. And this just shows the improvements that will be added. This is a phase 2 design, I believe. So we're almost through all the stages of design for this project. The yellow hashes here will be the new decorative lights that will be a part of this piece. The construction for this project is scheduled at $1.2 million. And we're still seeking some additional funding sources. So you can see I just wanted to show the whole scope of this project. If you'd like more information, I would be more than happy to sit down with you and show you other plans. It's hard to do on a Zoom presentation here. Yeah, we'll go all the way through Citizens Parkway. At Dave's Way is where the 10-foot wide multi-use trail will cross 103. There's a break in traffic, of a noticeable break in traffic. I believe over 1,000 vehicles get off the interchange and don't go any further than Dave's Way. So that's where we want our pedestrians to cross. And the multi-use path will extend all the way down to Commerce Lane and then extend north to connect to the Lions Way Trail, which is already there. You'll see there will be some sidewalks that continue to connect the remaining commercial properties as you continue to go east. The new Dunkin' building, Arby's, all of those properties down there. And there'll be another sidewalk in front of Springfield Fireworks to get our pedestrians all the way out to McDonald's. And this project, as I said, quite costly. In the middle, or gosh, just in I think November 2020, not that long ago, more good news for Bluffton. We received $215,000 of CMAQ funding from regional planning. CMAQ is congestion mitigation, air quality. It's federal funding that is designed for projects like this. They're going to get cars off the road. So almost $250,000 from this funding source. So as of today, we have $1,055,000 of federal funding for this phase 3 project. That's awesome. However, these federal projects, you have to do things in a very structured manner. Things are done as correctly as possible, and there are costs for that. So the estimated total project cost is approaching $1.7 million, which leaves the village to still be contributing over $500,000 for this project, with engineering, right-of-way acquisition, construction inspection, environmental searches. But if I back up, this project, even at that cost, this is that first phase of State Route 103 development, that this is being built. Let me go through this again. So we're still seeking additional funding sources through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the regional planning to see about helping with these costs. Again, more thumbs up. So back to that comment I was just starting to. This project on the left-hand side, it's being designed and will be built so that for our current use, just focus on the left-hand side, our current use of State Route 103 just has 2 lanes. And that's all that can be justified at this point in time. Is just 2 lanes of traffic. You'll see the pathway off to the right with some decorative lighting. This is shown down by Dave's Way. That's where the pedestrian crossing will be. On the right-hand side, this is a future, not in design, not ready for construction. This is just a future where this pathway is intending to go. If traffic patterns continue, development occurs, there will be the need for a 2-way left turn lane. The pathway that's being built, the right-of-way that's being purchased, that part of that $500,000 that is being spent is to allow this pathway to be built in a spot where it will not need to be moved in the future. So we're designing and building this corridor to serve the right-hand side, which is the future needs of Bluffton, to provide that infrastructure to service this commercial district. So yeah, that's, again, quite exciting. These are just renderings, so the scale is not exact. And again, back to the summary of where we're at, the 3 different phases that Bluffton has come up with that we've found to be feasible, fundable. You know, so I didn't do the total math, but we're over approaching $4 million. So just we've chipped away at it. We were lucky enough to have a build up in capital reserves that we were able to spend down to get to this point. Yeah, a lot has happened. A lot is planned to happen. I've just tried to hit the highlights. And that's all that I have for now, Paula. I want to make sure to give Joe enough time to give his speech. So
Great, thank you. That's fantastic. I think when I've been doing my research recently, I see things like Bluffton has a suburban, I know we're not technically suburban, but we have a suburban feel. And I think that those improvements definitely build onto that reputation for being a very homey, pleasant place to either live in or visit. All right, so now let's talk about another part of our infrastructure. Joe, what's going on in the world of electricity? So Joe, I see your presentation, but I don't hear you yet. I think if you're 614, then you need to unmute. There we go.
All right, how's that?
Very good.
had to press *6. Okay, perfect. Yeah, good morning. Thanks for the invitation to speak this morning for Jesse and Paul and everybody else. Jesse, going through all those plans now I understand kind of why I think we met in, it was either late 2018 or early 2019 with Jesse in the village, and said, hey, there's some electrical improvements that AEP wants to do in the area, and kind of showed him some plans of what we were thinking. And part of those plans were along Jefferson Street and Hancock. And Jess, I don't even know if you remember this, but kind of chuckled and like, all the work that he's been putting in for these, these road improvements and sidewalk projects. Our construction schedules at the time were going to overlap, but it turned out to be pretty good timing to coordinate on the locations of these improvements with our existing power lines there that later on we realized we would need rebuilt. So I'll go into kind of a little overview of what we're looking at, and on my next slide, it'll show a study area. So we have electric transmission planning engineers that we're kind of studying this area, and told our project team that there's some reliability issues that they see coming in their projected models. So we started looking at what we can do to improve the electric service reliability in the area, and also support the electrical load growth that they anticipate coming, or they already know is coming to Allen County and the Bluffton area. So right now we know that we're going to be building a new substation called Botwell Substation that'll show on a map on the next slide. We have about 5.5 new miles of power line that we're going to build, and then we're going to be rebuilding about 3 miles of power line. So our highlighted box here is kind of showing our study area that, again, our engineers are kind of analyzing and said, okay, there's definitely a need to improve the reliability here. There's some deteriorating old wooden structures that need replaced. And these lines were just getting, old and were in poor condition. So there's a couple different components here. If you can see our dashed lines, that makes up the kind of looks like what you would picture a railroad, but it's the yellow and black dash lines. That's going to be what we're rebuilding. All the solid yellow lines on this map are our existing transmission lines. And then the solid green lines is going to make up the new power lines. So we held an open house with the community. So basically, whenever we build a new power line, we know that we need to get from A to B, but we don't necessarily know how to get from point A to point B. So we have our siting team, our siting engineers that come and tell us, okay, here's all the different route options or the route alternatives that we could take that are constructible, feasible for us, but let's get input from the community. So we went to an open house with folks in the project area and asked them for their input. Went to the village, did a bunch of surveys to try to narrow down our routes to get us to a proposed route alignment that minimizes impact. It may follow property lines. We try to follow corridors that as well as environmentally sensitive areas that we try to avoid. And of course, I'll zoom in a little bit here later on the Jefferson Street and Hancock, so we can see where we're talking about. That kind of correlates with the road improvement projects there. So again, this is kind of talking about our need and benefits. We understand that there's a need to improve the reliability here, and in turn, that's going to help support all the future economic development that our team projects for this area for the foreseeable future. We announced this project in 2019, and then subsequently held that open house to try to help us narrow down our route alignments. We do have a team of right-of-way agents that have been in the field since 2019, talking to property owners and trying to negotiate easements for new right-of-way that we need. Construction has begun, and I think it's pretty much complete on our Botwell Substation. So a little bit west of Bluffton. And then here, I think at the end of this month, we're going to be starting on our new power line coming from Botwell Substation east toward the village of Bluffton. And we hope to wrap everything up by the end of 2022. There may still be a little bit of restoration and different things that will still be taken care of in springtime, depending on when we complete in 2022. If it's winter, we'd like to wait to replant seed and finish all the other restoration activities till the following spring. Okay, so here's a map. I kind of zoomed in on Jefferson Street and Hancock right in the village. Again, coming from south to north, just south of the Bluffton Village Park, that's the green line is a brand new power line, and we're going to be connecting to the substation just south of the interstate there. And then we're going to be rebuilding the existing power line north up Hancock Road, and then west along Jefferson Street to our substation, and then continuing northeast as a rebuild. So this is kind of where when I mentioned this area to Jesse, he kind of chuckled because of all the plans that all the plans that he's been working on so hard. So it's been a lot of coordination to get our structure placements in locations that don't interfere with all of the future road improvements. I think along, I'm trying to look at my notes here, along Jefferson Street, our new structures are going to be between the sidewalk and the road, and then along Hancock Road, we're going to be to the east of the road right away. Again, trying to coordinate those locations so that everything works after the road improvement construction is complete. Also have a link to our website on this slide. There's much more detailed maps. You can go to satellite views if you want to pull up a Google Earth. This is where we release all of our project updates. And then my contact information is listed here as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. That is really a lot of new information for me. Anybody else have questions about this? I know.
Good question.
Go ahead.
The substation location that I'm looking at, called Botwell, I was with the understanding that that was a Hancock Wood substation. Am I confusing that with something else?
Well, let me pull this map up here. So our Botwell substation is west of the village, and this is a brand new substation. So this is a agricultural property that we purchased. Yeah. And
it is under construction at this moment. Is that correct?
It's almost complete. Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, I understand. I'm looking at the diamond, and yeah. So this diamond right here, and we can go back to our zoomed in map. This is the Hancock Wood substation. Okay. Correct. All right. That's what I want. Thank you.
And
sure.
That's Fred Steiner from the Bluffton Icon. Just identify yourself, I think, maybe if you have a question. Anybody else?
So this is Mitch Kingsley. My question is on the stretch of new line. Well, I guess it's replacing line from the interstate along County Line Road north to 103. What is the height of, do you happen to know, Joe, what is the height of that line there?
Yes, these are going to be, the majority of these structures, both along Jefferson and Hancock Road, are going to be wood structures. There are a couple steel structures that we're going to need to install at the angles just to support the stress of the new line. And these are going to be about 70 feet above ground.
Great, thanks for that information.
Yeah, sure thing.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is Dan Clare. Just curious, when you say wood structure, you talking about wood poles, or are these more than just poles?
No, yeah, these are going to be wood. We call them monopole structures. It's just a single wood pole.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say, this is Beth Bish, and my husband and I live at 202 East Jefferson Street. And I just wanted to say thank you to the village, especially thank you to Jesse. Thank you, Joe. It's been a real pleasure working with AEP and the village as this project has been going on. And as a resident on that street, we're very, very excited about what's been going on in the finished project. And just a funny pediatric thing, when you close down 103, the kids in the neighborhood are also very excited because that means they can run from house to house and sometimes even play on the street with their parents watching. So it's been a really exciting time in our neighborhood. So thank you very much, guys, for everything that you're doing. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate those comments, Beth. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Beth.
It's been quite the adventure, hasn't it, Jesse?
It's a good word. That's a good adjective.
It's been a good adventure, and I think the end product's going to be really beautiful. So thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, any closing comments? I can't believe it, but it's 20 after. So let's find final comments.
Okay, this is Fred Steiner again with the icon. What is the total estimated project cost for the AEP project that we're looking at?
Let me see if I can find that real quick, Fred.
All right.
I realized I didn't have that in here, and I actually sent a note to our project manager.
I'll be happy to call
right
you
before I started.
All right.
Okay. If you could do that, yeah. I don't have an answer
That's
from
fine.
him yet, but I can get that pretty quick.
Okay, I'll call you. Thanks.
All right, wonderful. Well, since it's 22 after, I think we should move along to our member announcements. And so, Jason, are you here? Is Jason still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, it's all yours. Take it away.
Thanks. Yes, I'll be brief. My name's Jason Cox. I'm with Mennonite Home Communities of Ohio. So you probably know us as the Mennonite Memorial Home, Maple Crest, Willow Ridge, Mennonite Home Health and Senior Services, and LT Home over in Bluffton. And I just, there's a lot of exciting things going on with the pandemic finally seeming to take a turn. You know, we've had all of our vaccine clinics at all of our campuses. We've had 3 clinics at all of our long-term care campuses to make sure that anybody that wants a vaccine gets one. And so those are all completed. And now we're going into the next phase that they're calling maintenance vaccinations. And so that's for new residents and staff, or maybe any residents or staff that were a little bit hesitant to get the vaccine on the first rounds because it was very early. We started getting the vaccines there back in December, which was a little bit earlier than the general public. So there was still a lot of unease about it at that time. But because of that, you know, we've seen our case numbers drop substantially. Knock on wood, it's been several weeks since any of our campuses have had positive cases, whether that be residents or staff. So because of that, you know, there's been a lot of hesitancy and justifiably so for people to move in to congregate living settings. And we're excited for that to change hopefully here very soon. So we are doing a spring special here in the spring of 2021 through the end of May. And it's just a reduced rate for assisted living apartments. It's a great time to move because there's some great opportunities since people have been putting it off so long. We've got some really nice 1-bedroom apartments, patio apartments, and things like that. So if you know of anybody that might benefit from that, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to let them know about this special that's a savings of up to 50% for their first 6 months of staying with us. And you can find more information on our website, MHCO.org. And I was also asked by Chris Mosher to announce that we're going to be doing another chicken barbecue fundraiser. Just kind of a save the date because we're not selling tickets yet, but that's going to be on April 24th. And we'll start, the Mennonite Home Service Group will start selling tickets on March 29th. So when that comes out, we'll be sure to get more information out to the community. But that's a fundraiser to help us purchase a new transport van since ours is getting kind of old. So thank you, Paula.
You're very welcome. Thanks for filling us in on everything that's going on. I know we have more things going on in Bluffton than these 2 announcements on my agenda. My second announcement is from the Bluffton Center for Entrepreneurs. And I'm very excited to announce that on the 18th, we're going to have a Zoom spotlight on Putnam County. Bluffton is officially in Allen and Hancock counties, but we are so close to Putnam County and Hardin County, and the BCE serves those counties. So on the 18th, we're going to talk to Amy Sealts from Putnam County Community Improvement Corporation, as well as a Bluffton Chamber member, Tom Giesken, who is opening Well Grounded Cafe in Ottawa. Follow them on Facebook to see all the renovations. They are transforming an older building into a beautiful coffee shop. And then we're also going to talk to Andy Beaston of Titan Trolley. And Titan Trolley is a brand new pedal bar business. Andy's having these sort of amazing, I can't remember how many people, a dozen or more people pedal themselves down the street while they're enjoying adult beverages. And they'll be available in Ottawa and I believe Kalida. And so I'm very excited to learn more about this really new type of business. And I should say we had a fantastic turnout for our March event with Fred Steiner, which was on making it a book. What I loved about Fred's event was he told us so much about it, and then all the people who were either have written books or are interested in writing books, they continued to exchange information after our event. It was just really a great opportunity to share ideas and knowledge. And so thank you to everyone who participated in that. And so now I'll open it up. Does anybody else have something for show and tell, something for an announcement? We have a little bit of time here to do that.
I have a little one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
Okay, due to our new government administration, there's an additional open enrollment for individual medical insurance going on now up until May 15th for individual medical. So feel free to call our Bluffton or Ottawa office, insurance office at Fortman Insurance. I'm Catherine Fortman, excuse me. So is that understandable?
Very good. Yeah, my husband was surprised the other day. I saw you, or I heard your voice on the television, and I ran to the living room. And I'm like, wait, that's Kathy.
Yeah, yes, they created an additional open enrollment for individual medical insurance from February 15th to May 15th. So anyone that missed that deadline, give us a call there at the Bluffton or Ottawa office. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with an announcement?
Yeah, I guess I'll speak up. This is Dan Clare with Superior Energy Solutions. Just wanted to let everybody know, if they didn't know already, the tax credit for solar and other renewable energy installations was scheduled to drop from 26% to 22% at the beginning of this year, but it was extended now for a 2-year period. It's going to stay at 26%. So that's basically a fourth of the solar installation costs would be covered by the tax credit. And it is for people who pay taxes. And it's surprising how many people work their hardest to not pay any taxes. But at any rate, as long as you pay taxes, you're eligible for the income tax tax credit at 26% of the cost of the project. So I just want to emphasize that. It's good for the next 2 years. Then it drops to 22%, and then it goes away for commercial, for residential. So that's my 2 cents worth today. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I know that if you are in the tax business, things this week are not going necessarily as scheduled. I can't speak to it myself with details, but I would say, stay tuned with your accountants and your financial planners for this year. Some deadlines are changing. Anyone else? Fantastic. So I don't know if everybody made it to the end of their agenda, but I accidentally put down that Bluffton Hospital would be our next program. They will actually be our May program, not our April program. And I may come knocking on doors for our next program. So please let me know if you have a topic or if you would like to volunteer to provide a program next month. Any other questions for us?
Paula, this is Nikki Kenneke from Bluffton Hospital. Just wanted to give a quick update on where we're at with our COVID-19 vaccines for the community. We are now at the 50 and older group for the residents to come in and get the vaccine. So right now we're just taking waiting lists. We have to wait on a new supply from the state to come in for us to be able to hold a new clinic. But the clinics that we have been holding have been very successful. We usually administer anywhere from 200 to 300 vaccines a day when we hold the clinics. So we're just encouraging everybody to get the information on our website, which is BlanchardValleyHealthSystem.org. Or we have a phone number that the residents can call to get put on the waiting list. And as soon as we get the newest shipment from the state, we call everybody back that's on the waiting list to give them an appointment time to come in for the vaccine. And that number, in case anybody wants that, is 419-369-2323. And that's all on the website as well.
If I can add a little bit to that, just a little bit of side information, I guess. Mary Ellen, my wife, and I got our vaccine at the CVS pharmacy there in Bluffton. And we've got both shots so far already now. But while we were there were people there from Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati and Bluffton, Ohio, to get their vaccine shots. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, for one thing, how far people will go to get it. And secondly, that they've come in to visit little Bluffton, Ohio, and from those faraway cities. So it's actually a good thing for the village.
Yep, we've noticed that too. Yep, and when they leave, we tell them all the different restaurants and stores to hit on their way out. So
there you go. And of course, we visited Luke's twice now too, because of that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we're extremely fortunate with our care here, and it's very, very personal and very convenient. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I will just remind you then that our next meeting is April 9th. If you, and I'm now looking at the chat, if you ever want to have a question or a comment, you want to ask me something, to put it in the chat is extremely helpful. I have it written down that way. And I really appreciate you all being here and look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks, everybody.